Hi, good afternoon. This is Karla and welcome to day 5 of 14 kph or Karla's Power Hour. So I just came home from a talk entitled Millionaires Bootcamp where they invited 4 speakers to discuss different attitudes and different tracks to make your first million and then keep making more. So the 4 tracks are, first is you have to understand and you have to have the right mindset and psychology when it comes to money. Number 2 is entrepreneurship, which is making, building, and maintaining businesses, and that was my talk. Third one is through real estate investing, and fourth one is through stock investing. So I really had fun doing my talk, and I taught my students and the learners all of my best lessons from 10 years of founding, starting, building businesses, both online and brick and mortar, and I'm very happy to share that with you soon. So if you're interested in that, I'll be giving you a lot of really good value on my surprise on September 18, the last day of 14 kph, so stay tuned. So as I was driving home, since I live here near Abriza, there's a restaurant here called TGI Fridays, and I believe it's a famous franchise. And yesterday my boyfriend and I went to TGI Fridays and had an expensive dinner. So we had a good dinner. We had good food. We enjoyed the wine. However, there were a lot of things that were wrong when it comes to the service. So first off, there was 3 items in the menu which weren't available, which the waiters and waitresses didn't seem to find out they weren't available until it's after we've ordered it. And they had to come back to our table at least twice to tell us that these items are not available. So of course I got disappointed with that. Afterwards, we had a good dinner, and then when we got our bill, we literally watched them take our bill and get our money and figure out how to give us the change and then write the receipt, and it literally took them like at least 10 minutes to do it. And the funny thing about that restaurant is they don't have a back office, so you can see everything. You can see the waitresses and the managers, or maybe the assistant store manager, when they accepted our money, and when they went to the cash register, they put the money in, they try to get the change, and they write the receipt. It's so funny, and it felt almost stupid to realize that all of these things had to take a lot of time, even if it shouldn't. And that's another way for them to make us again feel disappointed, that for an expensive dinner, which is it was almost 4,000 pesos, and that's a very expensive dinner for Davao City. So for a very expensive dinner, we expected more and we expected better service. And then my boyfriend and I were talking about it, and then we realized that there's one very important thing, that if the manager or the owner of that franchise only had, they wouldn't have those problems. And that thing is high standards. Okay? So I believe that when I raise my standards, it's also the time when I really scaled my business so well and so fast. Because the thing is, if you have high standards, and if you're known to have high standards, then people won't fuck with you. People will give you the best because they know you deserve the best. People will always view you as someone whose opinions and service and work will always be elevated than ordinary. So if you have high standards, for example, you have high standards about the product. So if you're selling a product, then the final outcome will be more than satisfactory, right? And if you have high standards, and if you're delivering or selling a service, then the service will be more than satisfactory, from the ordering to the billing and to after sales, and everything will be of high standards. If you have a business where you have a supplier, for example, I have one of my businesses, we have suppliers, for example, for my events and PR business. So when we have our some of our modules made, or if we have something specifically for a specific brand that needs to be fabricated and made from scratch, we have suppliers which are ready to take on our requirements, and they know absolutely how high my standards are. So this way, the final product that I'll deliver to my client is also of high standards, and that's how they'll always think of me, as someone who have high standards. Another way to deliver high standards is to have high standards about your surroundings. Okay, so if you have an office, it should be a nice office. It should be very cozy, breathable. It should be clean. It should be of good location. It should be a good place for productivity. Another thing to note about surroundings is the people that you surround with. So don't ever hang out with people who seem to be not working hard on themselves as well, and those people who seem to also do not have high standards and standards which are the same as you. Because the way that these people will just exist or stay in your life is that they will not contribute anything good in your life, and in fact they might even contribute negative things or things that will pull you down. And if you surround yourself with high quality people, then you also become a high quality person. That's what Jim Rohn said, right? That you are the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with, right? So that's very true in it. And if you have high standards about your surroundings, your environment, your physical environment, and the people that you move with, then it's very highly possible that your standards in business will also be very good. Another way to have high standards and to make it reflect is through your customer satisfaction. So even if you own the business, you also know what the success path is for a customer. You know why they come to you. You know what kind of outcome they want and expect. You know what problems they're trying to solve. And if you know how to satisfy them, then you shouldn't just go to the goal of satisfying them, but you should also raise it to very high standards, which means that you should always exceed their expectations and exceed just satisfying them. You should work hard to provide them with customer delight. You should work hard to a point that they will be talking about you and raving about you to their friends, and they'll send at least 5 referrals along your way. In fact, that's how most of my businesses go. I've been with my flower shop for 10 years, and I've done my events and PR business for 7 years, and I tell you, I honestly don't remember the last time I had to pitch my business to someone. It's like they hear about our business and they ask about us, but we don't have to ever justify our prices. We don't have to ever convince someone to work with us. When they come and contact us, they're almost ready to work with us. And if they can't afford to work with us, they're still very happy to leave. And they also tell us that when they have bigger projects, they'll definitely come to us. Sometimes they even refer other companies which have bigger budgets to us, because they know what kind of quality of work we give, and they know how high my standards are when it comes to work. And lastly, if you want to really raise your standards, the main thing that you should focus on is, of course, yourself. Okay, you should have high standards on what you spend your time on. You should have high standards on what you eat, on what you do with your day, who you spend your time with, and just ask yourself what kind of person you are every day, right? So if you feel like you are a high quality, high standard person, and if you're in a dilemma whether or not you should do something, then just ask yourself, will a high standard person do this or not? Now, and then you will instantly get your answer. So I hope that's a really good lesson for you, and it's really mind-blowing for me, because day in, day out, people ask me a lot of questions about business, and sometimes these questions are very menial and very small, when a lot of the things about running a business is mostly just common sense and mostly just about your personal standards. So be careful about your standards, and if you feel like your standards are not high enough, then today is the best day to start making it higher. Thank you. See you tomorrow.